So I want to now draw a huge distinction between what it's like to watch the Stanley Cup Finals as a fan and what it's like to watch the Stanley Cup Finals as someone who's in business with this. Now, you talk as a fan about, I remember the Leafs went up 3-1 against Montreal, and all the Leafs fans were saying was, don't say we're going to win. Don't say it. Don't be superstitious. Don't jinx it. It's always don't jinx, don't jinx, don't jinx. We are talking to the Tampa Bay Lightning, for example, and they are placing orders for what happens if they win the cup, which if you're a player or a fan is sacrilegious.
Yeah.
You don't mention winning it. You don't say you have good chances. You just wait for it to happen and you cheer your heart out. In the world of business, when you want to be first to the punch, you cannot be superstitious about any of this.
And you know what? Even then, you can't think of everything. You're absolutely right. You don't want to be, you got to be ready. Like you said, there's hats being made now that will be sold at a deep, deep discount.
Yeah.
But we have to be ready. So there's that aspect of it. But when you look at teams and you asked how I react to different players, I grew up in Toronto, so at heart, I was always a Toronto Maple Leaf diehard fan.
Sure.
Still love the team. We have players on it, so it makes it easier to justify me rooting for them.
Yeah.
But we went into the first round with Toronto and Montreal.
Yes.
And we represent we represent Shea
Price,
Weber,
Shea
Carey
Weber.
Price, and Josh Anderson exclusively. So we have a big advantage over our competition in that area.
Right.
And the competition would kind of like to obscure the fact that by posting pictures of Carey Price on their website,
Sure.
that they have a relationship with him, but
Right.
that's not the case. We have, and so any new product coming out with Carey Price is going to be from Framework.
For sure.
Same with Anderson and Weber. That's big to control three of their best players.
Yes.
In one shot. We also have some Caulfield and Suzuki product, which isn't our exclusive. However, so that would have been big. In Toronto, we represent John Tavares, Mitch Marner, Morgan Riley, and have access to Simmons and a number of other players as well. So in either case, we have a win-win there. So the good news is we know we're going through to the second round. The bad news is one of our best teams is going to be eliminated in the first round.
Yeah.
Okay. So be honest with you, I don't think anybody expected Montreal to do what they're doing now.
I agree.
We're thrilled with that. And then you look at the other team that was disappointing this year for us was Pittsburgh, because it's just Sidney Crosby alone winning another cup is
huge.
Is almost as big as anything else we could do.
Yeah.
He's got 3 now, so we're okay.
I mean, so what you're saying is basically that you will kind of find yourself leaning more towards some teams, not necessarily because of the business side of it, but because there is still that
There's
personal
a personal
element. But what accounts for a personal element has changed for you. It's not just because you're from Toronto. There's more to it.
No. I mean, obviously, if I wasn't in this business, I'd be a diehard Toronto fan, and I wouldn't care. I mean, I'd respect all the other players. I remember going to the games in, what was it, 92 or 93, 93, I think, when I was going to the hockey game when Toronto played LA.
Yeah.
And I was sitting in the seats, 3 seats down from the LA bench. And as much as I respect Wayne Gretzky, I was so pissed when
the penalty
and all that. So I didn't have a lot to do with Wayne at the time, and so I was a Toronto fan. Now, it'd be a different circumstance now with the relationship that I have with Wayne. But so that changed the whole world of my whole world. I'll always want to see Toronto win.
Of course.
And trust me, it doesn't matter even the players. If Toronto ever won the Stanley Cup, and I'm hoping sometime, longest stretch now I think an NHL team has without winning, but Toronto wins, it's going to be huge for our company based out of Toronto.
Yeah. And we've always had a good relationship with MLSE as well. So there's that. So there are always reasons to cheer for the home team for us. Let's quickly go through the rest of the matchups here. Vegas versus Minnesota. Nothing. And that's just
and I really love Marc-Andre Fleury. I've known him for quite some time. We worked with him in Pittsburgh. great guy. So I have a sentimental attachment to Las Vegas for that reason. Minnesota, nothing against them. It just doesn't do anything for our company.
Even like business or personal, it's just kind of, even though it's some good hockey. Now the next one, obviously we've already talked about this a little bit, but we have Toronto and Montreal. When you first heard that these were matching up against one another, you already had mentioned that was kind of
bittersweet.
Bittersweet. You know, you love a Toronto-Montreal playoff matchup. Like
that would have been awesome in the finals.
That would have been amazing in the finals. I mean, there you just can't ask for a better matchup. However, where Toronto fans and Montreal fans were ecstatic about it, even though you like both of the teams, or maybe because of that, you're almost dreading this series.
Yeah, dreading and loving. Like I said, if one of the teams is going to be out regardless, and really it comes down to, the longer they stay in the playoffs, the better it is for business. But on the other hand, it really is about who wins the Stanley Cup.
For sure.
And then everybody else, like the minute they get eliminated, everybody's moving on to the next one. So if you end up with a Las Vegas, Minnesota final, I go to the cottage and fish. So, I mean, there's nothing in it for us. So, I mean, it was great, the hype and all that stuff. And the good news was one of our teams was going to advance, but the bad news was one of the teams was going to get kicked out early.
It's funny. I remember having the conversation with you when Montreal had won, and I was like, I'm just furious. I can't believe Toronto did this again. Oh my God. Like I felt much better about this year, as a lot of fans were saying, not furious at the Leafs, just furious at the state of where we found ourselves yet again. And you had to kind of talk me down and be like, Mikey, Montreal is so good for us if they win. But me as a primarily Toronto, like on a purely personal level, Toronto and Pittsburgh fan, Montreal is always the quote unquote enemy, right. And you have to constantly remind yourself, I haven't been doing this as long as you have, I don't think, to train myself to realize it's not always about what your gut is telling you need to cheer for. Sports mean an entirely different thing for us in this context. So it's kind of fun. Thank you so much for watching this clip of the Sign Off, a Frameworth podcast. Just a reminder that we have full episodes of the Sign Off available wherever you get your podcasts, on iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Make sure to like and subscribe on whichever platform you use. You can find us on Twitter at Frameworth Sport or on Instagram at Frameworth Sports. And hey, if you're not sick of me yet, you can find me on Twitter at Retrograde Mikey. Finally, feel free to send us emails with your questions you want us to answer on the show, and we may feature you live. You can do that by sending your emails to signoffpod@frameworth.com. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you with a new episode every single Thursday.